Hello and welcome to the Orthodox View, where we discuss the latest religious news from an Orthodox Christian perspective. I'm your host, Philip Champion. Patriarch Bartholomew of Constantinople hopes that the day of reunification with the Roman Catholic Church will come as soon as possible. On February 16th, while visiting Austria, Patriarch Bartholomew held a meeting with the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Salzburg, Franz Lechner. He then wrote in the guest book the wish that the great and famous day of the union of all should not be delayed for too long. He even added the following words, I quote, "Brother Pope Francis and my mediocre self are working hard and praying fervently for the speedy arrival of the day of the Lord." This is not the first time that Constantinople is speaking about a possible union with the Catholics. On November 16th of last year, the head of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America of Constantinople, Archbishop Elpidophoros, said that according to Patriarch Bartholomew, the 21st century should become the century of the restoration of unity between Rome and the Orthodox Church. In June of 2021, Metropolitan of Italy and Exarch of Southern Europe of the Patriarchate of Constantinople, Polycarp, said that the movement of Catholics and Orthodox Christians towards complete unity is approaching the finish line. He also called Pope Francis his patriarch and beloved father. Now, the question is it bad to wish for the Orthodox and the Catholics to reunite? Shouldn't we, after all, desire for all Christians to become one church again? Well, to quote Metropolitan Callistus Ware of Dioclea, "Before there can be reunion among Christians, there must first be full agreement in faith. Orthodox are not willing to take part in a minimal reunion scheme, which secures agreement on few points and leaves everything else to private opinion. There can only be one basis for union, the fullness of the faith." The same position has been voiced many times by the chairman of the Moscow Patriarchate's Department for External Church Relations, Metropolitan Hilarion of Volokholamsk. He has repeatedly stated that union with Rome is impossible and that any unilateral decision of the Patriarch of Constantinople to reunite with the Catholics would have no meaning for the Russian Orthodox Church. The Patriarch of Constantinople has recently imagined himself to be the arbiter of the fate of Orthodoxy. He believes that he can make decisions on his own. It would not be surprising if the Patriarch of Constantinople, without the consent of other local Orthodox churches, without solving those many questions on the agenda of the Orthodox Catholic dialogue, would simply announce that a reunion with Rome has taken place and would sign some kind of paper. For us, for the Russian Orthodox Church, this paper would mean nothing. Local authorities in Bucharest, Romania, have come up with a special form of support for the construction of the National Cathedral. The construction of the Patriarchal Cathedral of the Romanian Orthodox Church can be completed with voluntary donations. However, the approach is rather unordinary. Every Romanian citizen who paid taxes in 2021 can fill out a special form on the website of the State Tax Service and redirect up to 3.5% of their income tax paid to the state to a special account. From there, the money will be used to carry out internal and external work on the cathedral. It is believed that the National Cathedral in Bucharest will be the tallest and the largest Orthodox church in the world. This cathedral will also have the largest Orthodox iconostasis, almost 24 meters or 78 feet long and 17 meters or 55 feet high. The Synodal Court of the First Instance of the Patriarchate of Alexandria has summoned the two Russian priests who are currently visiting and serving in Africa to ecclesiastical court. At 10 o'clock in the morning on February 24th, Father Andrei Novikov and Father George Maximov are expected to arrive at their own trial. If they don't come, they will be tried in absentia. There are 4 charges against those two priests. First, celebrating the liturgy and other services on the territory of the Patriarchate of Alexandria without permission of Patriarch Theodorus and the relevant local bishops. Second, concelebrating with defrocked clergy. Third, the crime of conspiracy of faction, see Canon 18 of the Fourth Ecumenical Council. And finally, causing a scandal to the Church. Priest George Maximov had published an official response to the Church of Alexandria. He wrote that according to the canon law, Patriarch Theodorus cannot officially address him and Archpriest Andrei Novikov, bypassing the hierarchy of the Russian Church. Father George believes that Patriarch Theodorus simply does not want to address Patriarch Kirill and the African Exarch Metropolitan Leonid, although he knows them personally. Here's what he writes. It's always embarrassing to look into the eyes of someone you've betrayed. On November 8, 2019, you began to commemorate the head of the schismatic organization, Pseudo-Bishop Epiphanius, at the liturgy, and on August 13, 2021, you concelebrated with him and received communion from the same chalice. I find it rather cynical that you are trying to accuse the others of your own canonical crime. Father George also reminded the head of the Church of Alexandria how in 2016 he asked the faithful in Ukraine to remain under the omophorion of the canonical head of the Ukrainian Church, Metropolitan Anufri, of Kiev and all Ukraine. Here's what Patriarch Theodorus said in 2016 while visiting Ukraine. Stand in the Orthodox faith. Remain in the canonical church. Our church knew times of hardships, but Ukraine, this blessed Orthodox country, has a canonical church, has his beatified Anufri, our brother, a blessed man of God and true monk. I will try to raise everyone's awareness about the situation in Ukraine. The Ukrainian church must remain in its canonicity. Patriarch Theodorus of Alexandria had on many occasions publicly spoken in support of the canonical orthodoxy in Ukraine and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. So, what changed his position on the issue? Perhaps we'll find out someday. A German 3D designer, Jonas Pfeiffer, has recently become famous for visualizing the appearance of various kinds of angels, seraphim, cherubim, and ophanim, based on their description in the Bible, specifically in the book of the prophet Ezekiel. The images he created are quite impressive. However, as St. John of Damascus writes in his exact exposition of the Orthodox faith in the chapter called Concerning Angels, angelic beings are incorporeal. Angels are bodiless powers, which means that they are purely spirit rather than material. In the 5th book of his work The Primate, St. Clement of Alexandria writes that the angelic appearance, as it is described in the Bible, must be interpreted symbolically. For example, the face of the cherubim is a symbol of the rational soul, and the wings are the lofty ministers and energies of powers, right and left, and the voice is delightsome glory in ceaseless contemplation. Therefore, no matter how impressive the images made by Jonas Pfeiffer are, the true appearance of angels will continue to remain a mystery. His Beatitude, Rostislav Presov, Metropolitan of the Orthodox Church of the Czech lands and Slovakia, as well as various other Slovakian religious leaders, have addressed the authorities on the topic of current anti-COVID measures. They write that the unvaccinated people must be allowed to attend church services. Here's what they say. We have repeatedly asked you to allow people who are not vaccinated against the coronavirus to attend services. All the more so as such a condition no longer applies to the provision of the material needs of the population. Recently, the Russian First Hierarch, Patriarch Kirill of Moscow and all Russia, has also said that all people must be allowed to attend divine services. Here's what he said. It would be absolutely unthinkable if a parishioner had to show a QR code or some other civilian permit to enter a church. The use of QR codes, in fact, introduces a simple and, most importantly, unjudicial mechanism of depriving a person of their basic rights, such as freedom of movement or freedom of being present at public places, until this person complies with the QR code requirements. Well, that is all for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time on The Orthodox View.